to have the bollocks.
Do you really want to go toe to toe with me on that?
You've completely, like, what are we doing here? Levy isn't going anywhere.
It's all down to timing, isn't it?
Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Spurs 5. How are you? I hope everyone is happy and healthy doing the things they love, for those that love to do them with. It is your Thursday night show. It's the last one that we're going to have Johnny for a little while. This is his final show before he pops off. We've got 2 weeks break between the next game, so we're still contemplating how to figure out the schedule for next week, but we will come back to you and let everyone know about that. You know what to do. Before I come in and let everyone introduce themselves and find out how everyone's doing in this particular fort, and before we bring in the fifth man for today's show, bit of admin, guys, bit of admin. Please do smash the like button for us on the video. It really does help the channel get out of the traps with the show. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. I put the subscriber mode only on, so you know, if you are watching this and you want to comment, then you're going to have to hit the subscribe button. But you know what? The door will open up in the chat section like Bonnie Blue as soon as you do, so there's no delay at all. We appreciate the growth that you guys are going to help us with this bit. Notification button should be squeezed, comments should be dropped thick and fast. Please keep them respectful, as you always fail to do for the most part, but we don't mind. That's what we do over here. That's the way that the tone has been set on this particular channel. Also, we are available on all of your podcast platforms. Please do find us in Apple Pods and Spotify and Amazon and all that stuff. Spurs 5 is what you search. And then give us a rating, a follow, and a review. And lastly, but by no means least, before we get into the lads, the sponsor of today's show is, of course, OK Jersey. They have asked me to update the graphic. I haven't got around to doing it yet, but they are deliberately trying to push right now, as you can imagine why, the international series. There's a big tournament coming up in a few weeks' time, a few months' time, and they have got the best prices in town on all of your favourite teams. So if you are an English supporter or one of the home county supporters,
Cape Verde, mate.
Cape
Verde.
Then get on board that. But maybe you'll have a sweepstake, and maybe you've just got 8% Nigerian in you, like I have. Maybe you need to get yourself a second shirt, and if so, then you can get them over there. Best prices in town, 8% off at checkout using code 5. Johnny's going for Cape Verde. I like that. Have you been on holiday to Cape Verde, Johnny?
No, but I always wanted to go. I never got there, but I figure like I nearly got there
one day, next month or something, maybe in June or something.
Ish. So yeah, listen, I'm going to get a couple of OK Jersey shirts. I'll get a main one, and I will get an outsider. But one thing's for sure, not spending £125 on an England shirt. That's all I'll say.
Madness. Absolute madness.
That's
especially when only 5% of the money goes to the team that gets the
exactly. So check out code 5, OK Jersey. You know it makes sense. Start getting them now.
Big up to you, Johnny. Big up to you, Lubo. How are you, my man? Good to see you. You okay?
Yeah, all good, thanks. All good. Had a day out up north travelling, so I was in the car quite a bit, catching up on all the podcasts over the last 24 hours that have been very interesting. And here we are tonight, looking forward to it.
Good, mate. Great to see you. And beneath me is Mr. Stelios. How are you, Stel? How are you doing, mate? Good to see you. Good to stream with you yesterday. I thought it was a lot more calm than I had predicted, and the amount of messages that I've got saying, Butler, what is you and Stel? We've been waiting 5 years for that, and it was like a Sunday tea. There was no nastiness. There was no nothing. What's happened? You lot have changed. We haven't changed. How are you, Stel? Good to see you, mate.
Good, thank you. I haven't changed one bit. Enoch out. Been saying it for 6 years. I'm still here saying it. So nothing's changed with me. Yeah. Smash like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know the drill, everybody. Good to be back for another show.
Let's do it. Let's find out. It's a Thursday night. You know the rules by now. Thursdays equals 5 ball on the Spurs 5. I'm going to find out who is tonight's guest selector. Let's lock in, people. I wonder who it could be. I wonder who it could be. We got a new.
It couldn't be, could it?
It could. It could. We got a new guest making their appearance for the first time on the channel. This is my first time meeting the man as well. A Tottenham Hotspur historian and the latest and greatest member of the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. Lots of questions will be fired towards this man this evening. Please, guys, give a very happy Spurs 5 welcome to Mr. Roy Beck. How are you, Roy? Good to see you, my man. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Roy.
If you know your history.
That's right.
Hello,
Mr.
guys.
Roy.
Great to finally come onto the show. Great to see you all. Thanks for the invitation. Looking forward to the next couple of hours or so.
Good man. Good man. Right, guys. Well, look, only one place to start. And as I say, guys, don't forget to smash the like button. I can see the like button going up, but it's not going up enough. Don't forget it. Guys, only one place to start, which is the Supporters Trust. And I think we're going to sort of allow you, Roy, to sort of kick us off here a little bit. Do you want to tell us sort of broadly, I guess, to kick us off, what your role as the latest member, how it works at the Supporters Trust? Do you all have like your own divisions of labour, or are you all sort of broadly responsible for the same thing? What's your sort of role specifically within the organisation, mate?
And what made you join the trust specifically and go straight onto the board?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've followed the trust since 2001. 2001, 2002. I went to their first meetings back, I think, as Ian says, was the Irish.
It was.
Road.
Daniel Wynn was chairman, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah. Then he moved on to the Tribute Trust. So I've always followed them, and I've been. I don't know whether sceptical would be the right or the wrong word, but I've always kind of, followed them and wondered what exactly it was that they did. I've been a full member for about 10 years. So yeah, I joined purely and simply. The simple answer is that I wanted to know if I could make a difference, if I could help supporters and help the trust in some way. And as Sean says, yes, there are different roles. I'm one of the newest members, so I've been on the board for about a year. There's a hierarchy, if you like. You've got Rachel Martin and Steve. They're on the FAB as well. So they will be the first point of call for us and for supporters. We all deal with emails. Emails that come in. As you can imagine, the traffic into the email at the moment is pretty hectic. So we reply to fans. And
how many emails do you get a day then, on an average week?
At the moment, daily can be anything between 10 and 20 a day, which might not sound a lot, but
Is that your only fans account? Yeah, the only Tottenham fans account, I mean.
Well, you said you wasn't going to mention that on air, Johnny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty hectic at the moment.
Does the majority of those are those things like largely some of the normal traditional things, like if there's disability stuff or whatever, or is it mainly like people that are angry with the football club's trajectory? What's the kind of makeup there of people that are just venting?
Yeah, there's a lot of venting, as you can imagine. There's a lot of supporters that would like to see things done differently. And then, of course, you've got your everyday emails that come in. And we've seen a hell of a lot lately, away supporters, as Stelios has mentioned it, a lot of away supporters in the home sections. So, yeah, it's just a case of dealing with them and appeasing as many supporters as we can. I think it's fair to say that the Supporters Trust is never going to be a favourite of some people. Lots of people's minds have been made up already, which is a shame, because there is, as I've heard Stelios probably been quite vocal on it, he's very positive when it comes to what the Trust do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stel, sorry. He's very positive when it comes to a certain aspect.
Positive? What are we doing?
Supporters, away day travel.
Don't let Sean bring the negativity.
I'm joking still. I ain't joking.
I know. So am I.
Sorry, Roy. Carry on, mate. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I do watch the show, so I know each and every one of you by now. Yeah, so it's the last 12 months has been, you know, you can imagine. I came in last year at the back end of finishing 17th, the Europa League whirlwind, onto pre-season, the dismissal of Ange, the hiring of Frank, and the season that we've had this season, which I'm sure we'll get into. So it's a lot of it has been what I expected, you know, helping supporters with back of house things that most people wouldn't even imagine we would help them with. As well as taking a hell of a lot of flack on social media that we do.
Yeah, quickly, does that stuff affect you? Sorry, Johnny. Sorry, mate. I'll just ask this quick one, and I'll let you guys come in. Does that sort of side of the game? Does it? I know, obviously, and I want to ask you in a little bit later section the relationship with other fans, fan groups like Change for Tottenham, like the Soccer Sheet guy, like the Shell Side, all that sort of thing. I do want to ask you about your relationship with those sorts of people, those sorts of groups, and whether that's like whether you guys appreciate all of them, or whether you have frustrations with any of them, or struggles. But just on a more sort of personal level, you've been doing this for a year now, and people obviously will. I'm sure you'll have your own personal Twitter account or your own personal socials or whatever. Does it like? Are you appreciated in the same percentage as you are seen as a vehicle for people to vent? I personally have experienced, because of my somewhat defense of Daniel Levy in the past, for example, I've always felt like when Tottenham go through a particular period of downturn, or when Daniel Levy's perceived to be the reason why something that we all wanted to happen didn't happen, like the Eze transfer, for example, people can't get to Daniel Levy, so they can get to people who they think is like some sort of devil's advocate for that person. So I've received in moments like some horrible abuse. Like for me, I'm used to it, but for someone that's only been doing it for a year, do you get a lot of heat from people personally that you kind of think, well, I'm not responsible for what the club do or what they don't do? How do you handle that sort of side of the job?
I wouldn't say personal. The trust is attacked as an organisation, which lest we forget, we're all Spurs supporters. We're all, with the exception of me, everyone on the board is a season ticket holder. I'm a one Hotspur member who goes to every game. I chose not to get a season ticket from day one. I had one at White Hart Lane. I wanted to experience every block, and in fact, I'm ticking them off block by block every game. So I'm trying to get to a different block every game. We're all volunteers. We're all absolute mad Spurs fans, like each and every one of you on the panel here and watching. But you can't, we received an email after the West Ham game, and it was 5 or 6 letters, and it contained, the C-bomb twice. So, I mean, I don't know what they thought was going to come of that. No, the majority.
Sorry about that, by the way.
Apologies. That was having a bad night.
Yeah, we blocked still after that. But,
very good.
No, you can't take it personally. All we can do, and I wish I could take you on a more of a journey as to what we do. But all we can do is keep doing what we're doing, helping supporters as much as we can. And we do hold the club to account when the time is right. We don't go in on them like a Christian Romero two-footed tackle, as some people would like us to. But we just keep doing what we're doing. It's for the love of the club. That's why we're doing it.
I don't think you would get, to go in with 2 feet would not get the result anyway. I think the one thing that I see a lot of online, and I admire you for doing the job, because I would think a lot of the time it's a thankless task, because I see a lot of criticism on the board. The one that probably gets the most is the fan advisory board, because people's or fans' perception is that they aren't real fans on there. They don't speak for them. I'm not saying it myself, but they don't feel like it's a true depiction of every facet of the fan base, and therefore they bend the knee to Enoch and would be too frightened. I mean, there's a difference between going in with 2 feet, and there's also the other extreme, bending the knee and giving them a soft ride with certain situations. I'll just give you a quick one with the season tickets, for example, being delayed. That's the narrative. That's the story being delayed till June. Meanwhile, in the premium, they've been asking for my money since March. I had a phone call. They sent me an invoice, and I said, "You're joking, right?" They said, "No, everyone else is June. Why are you presenting it to me now?" So I had a meeting with them, and they said, "Oh, yeah, you know, we understand." And but I think there are a lot of people who feel pressured into paying. And when I asked him, he said quite a few people have already paid that premium amount, because the way the email is structured, you need to pay it, you must pay it, and this is the deadline if you don't. So people have paid. I've refused to pay. And I just think that, you know, I don't expect anyone to have sympathy for people in premium as to that, but we're all fans. And last year, where they held season ticket prices, premium seat prices went up. And I just think that, you know, for the fan advisory board, for you guys, do you speak to the guys on the FAB and then they carry that message in? But you said there's only 2 from the trust that are part of the FAB. So how many are in the actual FAB in total?
I'm not sure, Johnny.
I think it's about 10. I think because you've got two from the trust, and then you've got 1 from each department, like ladies. You've got seniors, you've got etc. etc.
So what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say, Lubo, is that you guys are the everyday, you know, from the trust, and yet once you just have that discussion, it's very much diluted. The power of those 2 can easily be outweighed by the other 8 that are on that board, if they're in cahoots or, you know, they have a different agenda. Do all of these guys, do you have any contact with the other 8 or not really? No. Okay.
No.
What is your relationship then, Roy, with regards other fan supporter groups? You know, I mean, I know Stel probably has some sort of questions that he'd like to ask. With might sort of, I don't know if you do Stel around some of the relationships that whether or not there's action or enough action being taken for the fans that feel a certain way. So I think obviously I was having this debate with Stel, this conversation yesterday regarding the parade that took place on Sunday. You know, and Stel obviously feels vociferous, and I don't put words in his mouth, I'll let him come to that, about the fact that there's not enough in the way of support for change at the top or pushing for that sort of direction. But when it comes to, you know, getting behind the team and all those other things, all the fan groups or whatever, they come together. And my sort of answer to Stel was, well, look, you know, Spurs Song Sheet and the Shelf Side Spurs and all these sorts of guys, their whole sort of MO and raison d'etre was to try to be generating better atmosphere and better engagement around the football club to try to make it more like White Hart Lane was. But that doesn't satisfy some parts of the fan base that feel like, you know, we can all get together when there's when we want to sing Kumbaya, but when we want to push for other things, other narratives, other outcomes, it feels like there's not the same level of support from the various fan groups. What's changed? What's Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust sort of stand, or your particular stance, if you can't give the overall group stance on regards? You know, can you guys be seen to be supporting protests that are, you know, aimed at the club that you guys obviously have a relationship with that's closer than most fans? Like, how do you guys go about navigating that kind of complex dilemma?
No, the trust have never been actively involved with a protest, although many of us in our own capacity will obviously be there on a match day. I've met Stel and I've met Ian a couple previously. And in regards to the other fan groups, so Change for Tottenham, I know we did a couple of podcasts with them, and our views align on many things. similarly to Return of the Shelf. You know, we speak on social media, and on match days we might meet up and something along those lines. But we certainly never actively protested as a trust against the ownership, though.
Is that because it's difficult to do so? They
have protested, though. You have protested.
You're talking 2021 Super League?
No, I'm talking about when we had an ENIC out protest opposite the club shop. And on the same day, the trust refused to join in with our protest, but 50 metres down the road, they set up a table with balloons to protest against the ownership of Newcastle United. And I went over there and I said to them, why are you not protesting with us about the future of our club, but you're more interested in protesting about the ownership of another club that's got nothing to do with ours? What are you doing? And they didn't want us there. Me and Ryan had to walk away. They refused to answer the questions, and I just thought, this is unbelievable. So that was when Martin and Kat used to run it.
Martin Kat. Yeah. But before my time, still, you better informed than me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I said it wasn't you, but the trust have protested, just not for our club.
Right. I go back with you to 2001. Was it 2001? Around that time, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I was going down to the Irish. I think there was a meeting every 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah, on Pretoria Road, yeah.
It was, and it was good. I remember the drummer came in on a few occasions. Didn't remember you had the drummer from the old lane. He was there, and because they stopped the drummer, and I think the trust went back to the club and said, "Hang on a second, we want our drummer back." And
yeah, we haven't got the same drummer now, have we? Though
no.
Different size drum as well.
But going through the years, there'd be updates every meeting. Particularly for me, of most interest were the meetings with the club. And I remember there were several occasions when it was meant to be every 3 months, and it was every 6 months. And this happened on more and more occasions. And Daniel Levy, my favourite chairman, as Sean knows, didn't bother to turn up on some occasions and sent Donna Cullen in. You've been there before Levy got booted out and since. Has the relationship between the trust and the club changed at all? If so, with Vinay as against Daniel Levy, and for the better or for the worse, in your opinion?
Well, it's a great question. Remember, I joined March of last year, so it was only 6 months. 6 months left of remaining that we know now of Daniel Levy's reign. The club, the supporters trust, as I'm aware, they would have met regularly with Donna Marie Cullen. Daniel Levy would have been there as well on other occasions. Since I've been there, we've got a new head of communications, Kate Miller, who I haven't had any contact with. In fact, in my 12 months with the trust, I've only had one Zoom meeting, and that was with Vinay. And as Sean said, yes, we do have our own kind of sections that we deal with. So if an email comes in regarding the heritage or of anything of that sort, the other board members will forward it over to me, and I will look to help whoever is in question. The relationship with the club, between the club and the trust, as I see it right now, is good. But I don't know because Kate came from a cricket background. I think that I'm right in saying. Yeah. So I don't know.
Leg before wicket, she was out her old job.
I'm not privy to the conversation.
Silly mid-off.
Silly, by the sounds of it, 100%.
I'm not privy to the conversations that the trust have had, so I can only comment on the one that was with Vinay, and that was in August, September time. So that was when things were I think it must have been August, but it could, because it was before Daniel Levy left. And he was very, very appreciative of the work that we do, very welcoming and very hospitable, you know. But yeah, I haven't been privy to any further conversations between us and the club officially.
Was he on the couch with Daniel at the time of that conversation? Because that was around sort of the time of the
drinking a glass of red. It was long as 2 glasses of Chateau Neuf to Pat.
Snuggle up on the couch. Yeah, it was the.
Right, can I ask you a question? I want to ask a question. Yeah. You're on the actual board of the trust then? You're on the part of the committee, or how many make up the board of the committee?
There's 11 other 11 altogether. Yeah.
Okay, so of the 10, 11, what is the overall consensus or the general weighing of opinion regarding ENIC, Levy, the board, the last 2-3 years, especially this year? What is the sentiment towards the board? Are you sympathetic? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you where's everyone kind of? I know you all got different opinions, but the general vibe, where does it sit?
I don't see the general vibe still any different to how, you know, any other supporter is. It's a mixture of all those words that you just said: anger, disappointment. You know, we're all Spurs fans, so that no one's happy with the situation that we find ourselves in.
Is that the feeling of the whole board then? I know you feel that way, but is the board in general, they all feeling the same way?
Yeah,
Your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't. You know, everyone's unhappy with the way that the club is on the pitch. Do you mean on the pitch, Stelios, or anything? What do you mean?
The way. Well, if you link the pitch activities to what the boardroom decisions are, then it's all as one. If you don't, then I mean, well, there's a question: do the board link the pitch activities to the board or not? That's a good question.
Well, I think they have to. We all have to accept that the board are partially responsible for where we find ourselves, and it's disappointing, and there's a certain amount of anger and disbelief as to where we are as a club at the moment. You know, we should be nowhere near where we are now, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely. You know, of course, ENIC and the board have to take a percentage of the blame. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I just wonder. Like, I always think I said this to you on the street when I met you on Sunday. Like, I don't think I've given the Tottenham Hotspur supporters a hard time necessarily, but I've read some of the minutes and some of the communications and things. I've never personally had any need to speak to the supporters trust, so I've never needed them. I understand that obviously some of the things that they do, I'm sure, are brilliantly helpful with regarding tickets and regarding any issues that anyone has, away travel, whatever, all those things. But in terms of like the ability for them to affect any change, you know, and I know that I've heard a lot of the sort of criticism. Oh, you know, the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust are going to word a strongly written email, or, you know, a strongly worded email. And again, for me, it's just like Twitter doing Twitter things where I see this stuff, because Twitter's just like not a nice place to be, right? Everyone on Twitter is a worse version of themselves than they are in real life. But like, I sit there and I kind of, for me personally, Roy, like when it comes to things like raising your dissatisfaction, and again, this isn't a criticism of the Supporters Trust. This is almost like a reality check for the people that think that the Supporters Trust can do something about it. Like, what else can you guys do other than just, you know, just say, if the fans are sitting there saying, where is the Supporters Trust? Why aren't they doing something about how badly this club seems to be run at the moment? What is it that you can do? You know, you say Vinay is a lovely guy. He comes in and says, we appreciate you and all that stuff. I mean, the guy is a communications suit, right? He's someone that sort of knows how to play the sort of the word game. He knows how to sort of say whatever people want to hear. But ultimately, to be entirely honest, I find the whole thing that these guys, not just him, not just at Tottenham. I think I've worked in corporate environments for most of my career. Like I see a hell of a lot of ineptitude in all sorts of organizations that I've worked in or that I've worked for. And a lot of these people are just paying lip service, telling you things you want to hear. They pillow themselves with Like wherever there's quality, there's incompetence above it and below it because they want to protect themselves from the next guy that's coming up. It's a lot more politics at play. And part of politics is coming out and putting on a brave face and saying, yeah, we hear you, it's not good enough, without any real intention of change. So with regards to Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, like, I'd love to know, like, do you guys think that you have any leverage to be able to affect change when you write these emails, when you say the things that you guys do on the, on Twitter, when you express how dissatisfied you are? Are you guys to some degree doing the same thing as what we could accuse Vinay of doing, which is, make yourselves be seen to be doing something or saying something, or like to be seen to be not invisible in the moment when people are saying, where are you? But actually there's nothing really more that you can do than just write an email. Because you're not the guys that are writing the checks, and you're not the guys that are picking the players. You're not the guys that are hiring or firing the various decision makers. So I don't know what people expect from you guys.
Absolutely. It's a great question, Sean. It really is. And again, I can only go by what I've seen so far. Let's not forget, we are an official mouthpiece for the fans into the club. The club do listen to what we say. As to whether they take it on board, who knows? The trust have been part of some fantastic initiatives as well. The £30 away cap price, £30 for away tickets, that was down to the trust working alongside the FAB. On-field decisions, I go back to, I use Stel as an example, and again, if I'm saying anything wrong, Stel, I know you'll tell me. Your position is, with regards to the trust, back of house in terms of supporters, travel, etc. You think we do a fantastic job. I can't claim much credit for that. I try to help where I can and when needed from the other board members. But yours and a lot of the frustration that we see from supporters aimed at the trust is that we don't do enough in terms of holding the club to account. Is that correct?
I think that the work you do for ticketing issues, disabled fans, away day travel safety is excellent. But when it comes to the owners, you might as well just not bother. I just think it's just you're wasting your time and you're opening the door up for people to just slam you.
So my question to you, if you don't mind me asking a question of you still, is as a trust, bearing in mind we're the middle ground, if you like, between the supporters and the club, what is it you would like to see the trust do in terms of affecting any decisions that the club, the ownership and the club can make that would benefit us on the pitch? How can the trust get involved with the club more so than we do?
It's a great question.
Yes, excellent question.
What is it you want?
So,
tell me what you like.
What would you like, Mr. Stelios?
Freedom. Look, when I saw the mass protests at the Emirates, and I've seen the mass protests, Man United fans, their fan groups support their club trusts and whatnot. They got involved, right? They felt strong enough. We're going to get involved. You guys, not you per se, the trust, you don't. So clearly, we behave differently to the other big clubs anyway. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I just want you guys to make a decision that isn't 1 foot in and 1 foot out, because that writing emails, writing letters, like Sean said, you do it 1 year, you do it a second year. The club don't care. They're laughing at it. Oh, go on, then send us an email. We'll reply. We've dealt with you for another year. It comes across like virtue signaling. We're just doing it for the sake of looking the part. I think you should either not get involved at all with the ENIC, Levy board situation at all, and just put an announcement out saying, look, the trust was set up to look after fans, ticketing issues, help the disabled fans, the community, all the good stuff you do. We're here for that. We can't step into that arena. We can't, and we're letting you know that, but we're here for you for all the other stuff. And you know what? I think that way you've kind of established what you were set up to be, which was that. But for some reason, maybe it's pressure, maybe you thought you'd give it a go. The trust then tried to do something about the ENIC problem, because obviously fan sentiment towards the board was becoming more and more angry and frustrated. Either you go all in or don't go in at all, because this half-hearted effort, I think it makes the trust look weak, and it opens the door up for those emails you described earlier. What I would like you to do is to lead a movement to actually force change, whether it's walkouts, boycotts, mass protests, because I tried it with a few friends, we failed. Change for Tottenham tried it. For me now, they failed. So it needs a bigger group that's got members, which you have, maybe a database like Sean and others have spoken about. Lead that movement or don't do anything at all. It's one or the other. This kind of middle ground that the trust is trying to operate in, I think that's the worst place of all that you can tread in.
They do good things, though. I mean, they do good things as well. Yeah,
I did say that.
I mean,
I did say that.
Yeah, no,
stick to that. Or it's the other stuff I don't think the trust should get involved in if they're not prepared to go all in.
I'm not sure if you can be like. I kind of agree with you, Stel. Like, I don't think it's the place of the trust to do that. Sorry, Rob, I'm not taking your answer for you, but just quickly. But I don't think that you can be. Like, for me, I think part of the reason why they all might feel, all the guys might feel a certain way, maybe they feel some of them as strongly as you do, Stel. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But as they have the relationship, that door that is open with regards to other things, they probably aren't really capable of saying or acting in a way that is quite as gung-ho and aggressive with the and correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I probably shouldn't even be speaking at this point. Well, I'll let you go. Sorry, Roy. Forget me, mate. Go on.
Can I come in? Can I come in here from my personal my personal feeling about?
Let Roy reply to me.
Can Roy reply?
Sorry.
Yeah, let Roy reply.
My bad.
Yeah, so I understand what you're saying still. Almost like we should be apolitical in some respects, you know, not get involved with that side of the things of the club, as you said. But where do we draw that line? Because as I said at the start, we're all passionate Spurs fans. So to sit by and say nothing almost feels like a waste of the platform that we have at the same time.
Your platform isn't working with what you're doing with it, which is why I said either go all in or nothing at all. This 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach, I believe, makes you're setting yourselves up to be targeted. It's opening the door up to fans to say, what are you doing? Stop sending these emails. Your letters are a waste of time. You know, where are you going with this? And I think that's the problem with trying to use what power you have, but not fully pushing the levers, because then you might burn your bridges. And I understand that. So then don't go in at all. It's kind of, you're stuck in that middle ground, which I think is the worst worlds of all for the trust, because the good stuff you're doing, people won't look at that anymore. They'll just look at another stupid email, another silly letter. They won't look at what really good work you do for fans that struggle with ticketing issues that you do help them with. I've got a friend. He had a friend that he goes with. He was diagnosed 9 months left to live. The club wanted to charge full ticket price for the season ticket. You guys got involved and you got the price down and you helped him out. That stuff doesn't get heard of because the noise of your emails failing to reach out to the board is what we end up talking about. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You know, the other problem is, if you're going to deal with the club, and I think, you know, the fact that the club actually talk to you, they are such an arrogant, pompous, hopeless bunch of directors that we've had from ENIC since the year 2001. They are useless. They look on fans like we're something off the bottom of their shoe. And I don't care if the club are watching this. You've got to change your ways, because it's obvious that the way you've treated fans. I'm just going to mention. Just want to ask you, Roy, because there was a comment that came up within 5 minutes of the show starting from one of the viewers here, just saying that senior season tickets for next season have gone up 5%, which means that they have not backed down on the argument regarding discounts. Is this correct? Seniors. For senior citizens, there was, you know, they turned around. They wanted to cut the discounts
Yeah.
by 5% every year for 5 years. So it would go down. It would go from 50% to 25%. And I remember, and this sums up for me. This sums up for me about the balls. And thank God he's gone. Was that I was at a trust meeting and I heard quite categorically from someone who was in the meeting that when the trust spoke to the board about discounts, they were told our senior citizens don't need discounts; they're all rich. And I just thought, Jesus Christ, this is coming from the club.
Yeah, but Lubo, not all people that are over 65 get a discount. What about those people? Where's the consistency?
Absolutely. There's that as well.
Are you advocating that everybody into an aging population gets a 65 over 65 discount on the season ticket?
Should be means tested, mate.
Because if you are, well, you can't means testing you can't means test for a private company.
No, it's true.
But if you're saying, but you either everyone who's over 65 should get a discount, or they have to find a way to make it. Because in 5 years' time, mate, 2/3 of the population is going to be over 65. So who picks up the slack? If the demographic is the same, it's going to be people like me that have to pay twice as much to pay for people like you, Lubo. And I'm not paying for you, Lubo.
And what about the underage?
You can sod off as well.
What about the younger groups? Listen, I wanted to ask you something, right? This has been a bee in my bonnet for a long, long time, right? You're a historian, right? A Tottenham Hotspur historian. So how do you feel about the history of this club in this new stadium being cleansed? Because when I go to that stadium, I don't recognize the history of my club, right? I don't. Now, I believe the statues should be there. I believe Bill Nick should be there front and centre. I go to other grounds and I see statues to their greats. And, when you take your kids or your grandchildren or you bring someone there and your kids turn to you and say, who's that, Dad? Who's that, Grandpa? Who's that, Grandma? That's Bill Nick, the greatest manager that ever was for the club. Who's that? Who's this? Right? We hide it away under a bushel, like we should be ashamed of our history. Our present is an embarrassment. Our past is glorious. This is why we sing glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah. This club has promised us over and over and over again. They tuck the gates round the side. Those gates should be front and centre with the statue of Bill Nick holding on to those gates. Front and centre. It's iconic. Every Spurs fan knows that picture. And, we've heard so many stories about it's going to be this year, it's going to be next year. We were told when the new stadium was built that they would be front and centre. We know that they sell it as a multi-purpose sports arena, but it shouldn't be. It can be a multi-sports arena, but with the heritage of our club front and centre. When I go to Manchester United, I go to Coventry and there's a statue of Jimmy Hill. I go to Manchester United, there's the Busby.
There's going to be a statue, though. They got the first statue done, didn't they? That the supporters' trust who pushed for that.
No, it's not a statue. It's a
no. The first statue. I know the gates have been put up, but the
but
first
it's not
statue's also been. Oh, I thought Vinay said that the first statue has been approved. They just haven't figured out who the person is going to be.
Look, we've heard the stories, Sean. Right? This has been on running for so many years, mate. There should be Arsenal. I think have got 5 statues. 5. We should have the first black player to play for the club. He should be on there. Watertull. Bill should be on there, and we could have discussions about some of the others. But they should be part. They should be part and parcel of the club. When you go inside the stadium, we see some of the programs up on the wall, but it's almost like a token gesture. When you speak to Murals, Mark, from Murals, that they could have easily have had some murals inside those blank canvas walls inside the south stand along those walls. There's plenty of opportunity to depict some classic images, whether it's Mora's goal, or the guys carrying the trophy after winning the FA Cup. There's so many iconic things to stamp our history on that, and to add to that is the museum. The museum that we were promised years and years and years ago, where you could take someone and go round and, see the history of the club. When you go to an away game, many fans, if you go to Real Madrid, I know we're not Real Madrid, but if you go to an away ground in Europe, quite often fans would like to go and see a tour around and see the history of the club. We should be having this. And I know that they've spoken about it. And I just want to know how much of this, bearing in mind someone with a passion for it like yourself, I would be surprised if you're not sort of leading this sort of argument front and center. And how far has this been pushed forward and then pushed back by the board?
Before you answer that, Roy, I just want to say, just finishing off what Johnny said about the museum, because that was one of my notes. I was one of thousands and thousands of season ticket holders that were asked to the open day on the middle of December, which was before the ground opens, and you came into the south stand, and you had a walk around and you had a look. That was the only place you could go at that stage. And I popped into the club shop, and I was having a chat with the manager, and the manager said to me, I said to him, what's happening with the museum? And he said, that's earmarked for the first floor. We got next floor up. There's going to be a museum. Now, he told me this December 2018, and here we are over 7 years later. Nothing. Not a mention. Nothing. I mean, it's just a disgrace. It's just a disgrace, and that's why there are so many reasons. People know how I feel about Daniel leaving and ENIC, and this is just another one. That this is a great history, and they have no interest in our history. It's just staggering. It's just a disgrace.
Sorry, Roy. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
No, that's okay. A lot of points to dissect there. Sean, this is a 5-hour show, right?
Yeah, but listen, look, Roy, it's been, I've done tweets on it. I've done many shows. I've been on, on various shows on the same topic. And, I know a lot of fans feel exactly the same as I do. I'm not in the minority. Yeah. And that's why asking you, seeing that you are the historian, I thought this would resonate very much with yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a historian. I'm not an official club historian affiliated with the club, but I have worked with them. I did the research for the legacy numbers that were introduced 3 years ago. The players wore them on the back of their
fantastic stuff. Yeah,
for the Crystal Palace game, which is the now famous 10th game under Ange Postecoglou, the 2-0 win. So they wore the legacy numbers. That was 4 months research with the club that I did there. But I would be lying if I said that there wasn't a part of me that when I joined the trust, I thought I could use it to possibly represent the fans a bit stronger on those two subjects. And they are part of the minutes now from a conversation that we had with Vinay, so I can mention it on here. The statues, Vinay said that there are plans afoot. So this was that August of last year. I know. He said there are plans afoot, and it can take 12 to 24 months for the statue to be approved, planning permission, etc. I don't know if that's true.
We're not. Listen, Roy, with the greatest respect, when I read that, I mean, we ain't building the Cutty Sark, right? We're not digging a fucking tunnel, right, under this. We're putting up a statue. David Lammy, right, is in the council, like, ring up Lammy, right? It don't take 24 months.
It's not a priority for the club. It's clearly not a priority.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I could get a house approved in 6 months. Right,
in 5 years, didn't it, Johnny? 5 years, didn't it, mate? I thought.
No. That's building regs, mate. Something different, okay, right? But my point here is that to the uninitiated, that sounds plausible, right? 12 to 24 months before we can even start. Then we've got to find someone to make it. Then we've got to decide which one are we going to do, which we all know. So it's delay. So before we know it, we're 3 years, 4 years down the line. How is it Arsenal and Islington Council, which is one of the toughest councils to get anything through, they've already got 5?
Wow.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's fine. So that was the result. That was the response that came to my probing about the statue. The second was the museum, which we was expecting in Warmington House, as Ian says, and that was probably the biggest disappointment of the call for me. As a historian, I want our history. You know, people can mock and people can laugh at where we are right now, and rightly so, but they can't mock the history that the club has. So in regards to a permanent fixture, you know, a permanent museum at Warmington House, I was told that it was not cost effective.
I.e. that there's no money to be made from that particular area of the park or area of the stadium when they could put an extra lounge in or an extra bar in or an extra whatever else in, right?
Yeah, financially, it was not cost effective.
There's no trophies to put in it. There's nothing to put in it.
Well, there is at the moment still.
Well, listen, there is history in there. There's history there.
I was joking. I was joking.
Yeah, no, joking. But there's history to go there. And like, second of all, you know, like I said, you know, whether it's £5 or £10, when I go abroad and I can pop into another clubs to see the thing, you know, I have interest in other people's clubs. So, you know, people traveling here from America. Listen, when the hotel gets built, if it gets built, there's another, you know, it's all very well having a jump wall and a diving wall. That's not fucking history, right? Yeah. The history is our club. Why not add 10 quid, 15 quid for the history of that club? Why not put a museum in the basement of the hotel adjacent to the ground? There's many ways you could do it. They got a giant car park, which most of it's not even being utilized. They could put one down there. There's all sorts of places. It's the will to do it. There's no heart. There's no desire.
Can you hang on a second? Can you actually imagine if they went, all right, okay, we'll give you your bloody museum. It's on the 3rd floor of the Sainsbury's car park.
Okay, what you do,
what would happen then? Come on,
Sean, what you do? I've been on stadium tours at Ajax, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and you finish off in the museum. So add an extra £5 to the stadium tour.
Exactly.
That go through, and you finish off in the museum. It's simple. That's what the other big clubs do. I mean, they're elite clubs, but I mean, you know, that's what other clubs do. So, yeah. But there's not been any interest. So, Roy, can the trust go full blown on the statues and the museums?
Well, I intend to use my position whilst I'm there, whether it be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, who knows. But I intend to use my position whilst on the trust to continue to outline just how important it is to us, to the majority of supporters, and to get the club to agree to something permanent in terms of the museum, and to find out, because, you know, August is now what are we, 7 months? We're 7 months into this 12 to 24 month timeline. So I don't know when I'll be speaking with Vinay again, but if I'm not, I'll make sure one of the other board members presses him as to where we are. Yeah, it's not something that I will stop fighting for, Ian. That's for sure.
Because there needs to be, I mean, for me personally, I'd be happy if one of the board members can get on to Vinay tomorrow or Monday, and let's get some sort of timeline for this. You know, no, seriously.
You've got one. Never ending.
Can we sign
I need Vinay to be all hands to the managerial deck. I don't like. There's a time and a place. The museum is not Monday mornings, the first thing on their Monday morning meeting list. Okay, I understand it's a priority, but it's like there's other things, other fish to fry at the moment. Lubo, leave Vinay out.
Can we get a play?
Managerial searches right now, eh?
Can we get Can we get a ball-playing midfielder first, please?
Yes, it's kind of my priority. Listen, guys, if everyone has anyone got any specific more questions for Roy on the supporters trust specifically? If not,
just one more. Whether or not, just whether or not, the change for Tottenham and all that. Do they dilute the message of the trust, do you think, and interfere with it? Because I always wonder whether being together as one voice, sometimes is the best way, and working together is the best way. Does change for Tottenham, although everyone's got the club at heart and the same end goal, really, to be successful on and off the pitch. Does it dilute? Does it make the trust seem not inactive, but not fit for purpose, because they have had to come in and look, they're not doing the job, they ain't doing it, so we've had to come in and we've had to set up and tell them what's what?
I think it's a great point. I think it's a valid point, and I think a lot of people, Johnny, and you would have read. I know you're on it. I know you follow me on X, actually, my page, which is fantastic. Thank you. That is the common feeling. The common feeling is, well, the trust aren't doing X, Y, Z, exactly what Stell wants us to do. Change for Tottenham have organised. I mean, I was at the protests before I joined the trust. That's where I first met Stelios. I was at the one, a couple of years ago with 2,000 people that Change for Tottenham organised. I was also at the Burnley one where there was 100, and I was at the second one that flopped as well. So I can understand why the supporters are of the opinion, well, the trust are no good. So Change for Tottenham are everything that the Tottenham Hotspur supporters trust should be. I understand that train of thought. I can't speak for the other board members. For me, I think Change for Tottenham were fantastic in what they did for that big protest last season.
Yeah, last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I think they work together really well. The others, Return of the Shelf, Spurs song sheets, how intertwined they should be with the trust, I don't know. I don't know whether it would be a good idea for the trust to get fully on board with the other supporters groups. Just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I think that Stell's probably right. Just quickly, I think that personally, I think you can't be all things to all people, right? You can't run with the foxes and hunt with the hounds. And I think that makes it difficult for you guys. Your hands are tied because you have relationships that you need to keep open. And if you start to represent yourself as someone that wants the current ownership to piss off, then they're not going to be open-minded or willing, or it's just going to become toxic, and they're less likely to work with you on the things that they don't absolutely have to work with you on. They'll always continue to work with you in the disability section or the ticketing, all those sorts of things. But in the areas where, like the museum, like the statues, where you can push things in a friendly manner, but you can still push things that aren't priorities for them, they'll just shut down that conversation. If on the Friday you're speaking to them, and on the Monday or on the Sunday you're out chanting Enoch out, I think it's just a difficult, awkward situation. So I kind of think that Stell's probably right, that it's not really the supporters trust's job to play that role. I think it's other people's jobs to play that role. You can be a part of it as an individual, but not as an organisation. I would say that's my take anyway. Sorry, Stell, did you come in there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, not that they're going to listen to me, but relay a message, if you don't mind, from me. Either go all in or pull out completely and just put out a well-structured message saying, look, this isn't for us. This isn't what we were set up to do, but we're here for you with all your other needs. This we can't touch. And then at least everyone gets off your back. Or you go all in and then you fight for some serious change at this club. But this middle ground for me is, I think it's just making it a terrible look for you guys. And yeah, you can relay that message, whether they listen or not. To me, I don't know. I'm a nobody.
All right, guys, listen, interesting, great stuff with regards to supporters trust, Roy. We're going to move now into a little bit more on-pitch stuff, if that's all right with everybody. Lots of things going on, even though we are about to walk into whatever it is, 2.5 weeks left until we play Sunderland. We obviously are on the precipice. The Forest game was an unmitigated letdown in terms of on the pitch stuff. And obviously the sad news happened after the game, or during the game, I think it was, that Igor Tudor, his father, sadly passed. And obviously since then, I guess Igor Tudor's been away in his homeland, I would imagine, grieving, rightly so. But no noise from the football club regarding, I think they might have put a statement out saying, best wishes or whatever, our condolences, but it's been nothing obviously with regards any movement on anything else. The media frenzy is going crazy right now. Is it De Zerbi? Is it going to be Adi Hutto? Is it going to be Pochettino? I've seen all sorts of rumors coming out. Before we get to any of the specifics, let me start with you, Johnny, on this one. The how do I say this in the most sensitive light? Sacking Igor Tudor after his dad passed could be perceived as being incredibly insensitive. However, is there an opportunity, because Tottenham Hotspur have to get on with Tottenham Hotspur's business, and it's clear that Igor Tudor has really struggled in the role. Now that he has a distraction, does it present itself with a, dare I say it, again, forgive the phrasing here, but a fortuitous circumstance in which they can come to potentially a mutual termination where they say, listen, we completely understand that Igor Tudor is distracted with his family grieving period. We wish him well with that, but because we need someone entirely focused on the job, we've decided by mutual consent to part ways, and we are now in this pursuit of someone else who can step in to save Tottenham in this difficult time. Like, best wishes and all that sort of thing.
I think this is a convenient get out for both parties should they wish to take it. I think Tudor would be looking for the financial remuneration that he's entitled to. So yet again, we would be paying out money again. His assistant coach needn't leave now. He can stay at home. He never got out the front door. It's just farcical. The problem is, Sean, this is all very well and good, but this club is just one of the most disorganised clubs there is in the Premier League. Succession is the byword at Brighton, at Brentford, and many other clubs. We don't have plan of succession. When we were sort of 3 games in, Stell said after 1 game, some said after 2 games, some said after 3 games, the guy's not going to cut the mustard. The conversation must have taken place because it was pretty horrific, right? You had Pedro Porro playing at centre-back. There was massive red flags. And one would think that they had conversations between themselves. Look, what would happen? What happens, guys? If you're running a bloody business, you'd definitely be having this conversation. What happens if this guy doesn't work out? It's not looking good. Guys, what do we do now? We're game 4. It's not looking good. In fact, this is worse than Thomas Frank. What do we do if we have to pull the button on this guy? Who's available? Who can we talk to? When it went to game 5 and then, we had the stay of execution after the Liverpool game where Liverpool rested 5 players with their eyes firmly on the game against Galatasaray. And we had that sort of, that game against Atletico Madrid where hopes were raised. But when that game came against Nottingham Forest and they didn't turn up, and it was exactly the same as what it's been, we should have acted. Now, I understand the circumstances because of his father, but I don't believe for 1 single minute that they have the manager or the manager was stood by, that they've had conversations weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. You can pick your game where you thought it was a disaster. For me, Fulham, going 2-0 down and the body language was an absolute joke. They were beaten. We knew that they were beaten. Body language was absolutely disgraceful. But the board have shown that they not only inactive, but they've gambled on the future. They gambled on our future in January with a throw of the dice that we didn't need any players, even though we'll come on to that. But Correa was injured. Making the decision on Thomas Frank, no decision, slow decision. And here we are now. They've learned nothing. They have learned absolutely nothing from the moment they jettisoned Daniel Levy to where we are now. So here we sit with a 3-week break. Okay, many of the squad have either gone out to international duty, under 21 international duty, or full international duty. So a lot of the players are missing. But they should have an agreement in place with him, maybe even before the game. Look, if we lose this game, we're just telling you now, we're going to have to part ways. This is what's going to happen, right?
He was probably expecting it anyway.
Yeah, no, I understand he's expecting it, but we've heard the rumours. And because the club doesn't talk, what happens is the press, the TV fill that void. They fill that void with rumours and more rumours for us to feed off because there's nothing else to latch onto. So we have rumours of De Zerbi. He didn't come here when it was 12 games less. So he ain't going to come here when there's 7. We've had Adolf Hutter, right? Only we could sign an Austrian named Adolf. Look, I think it's the ship has sailed, mate. I think we're at the midnight hour and we don't really have a solution. The Titanic is sinking and these idiots are rearranging the deck chairs instead of trying to bail out the...
I'm not even sure if they're doing the rearranging, mate. I think they're just sitting there.
I'm not even sure they are. But, I love my club, but, I'm in despair right now because I just thought he would have been gone before the first Atletico game.
Okay, so super quick then. Has the passing of his father? Like I'm asking the question: is it an opportunity? Has it worked out the other way? And it's like, had it not happened, they might have sacked him. But because it happened, are they sitting there now deliberating whether or not it's insensitive to sack a guy whose father's just passed? Is that another possibility here?
Well, I think the way out is that you speak to Igor and you say, look, we want to make it look good on all parties. And at this time, Igor needs to spend time with his family.
What happens if he says no?
Well,
he says, no, I want to stay.
I am Igor.
And this is why.
I stay till I die. Yes. Listen, maybe Igor, will. But I mean, look, the results are saying 1 point in 15, and we are sinking quicker than we need to. We're in quicksand and we can't find a branch to hang on to. And who's to say, let's be honest, right? Who's to say there's anyone's out there that can rescue this club right now?
Okay, I'll answer that. Firstly, you wonder why I want Vinay working on a museum and not on a manager. Prime example.
Fucking hell. Any justification for your museum? Gee whiz.
Secondly, the criteria for a new manager.
There's a manifesto coming here, people. I can
No.
Hopefully it's only a 2 point.
Everyone knows about the manifesto.
I'm leaving the show if he does it. If he reads it, I'm leaving. I'm off.
We need a new manager in, and the only criteria is, number one, a manager who is available that wants the job, and secondly, someone who knows the Premier League. And there's your 2 main parts that you work from, and you work accordingly.
Is that a qualification though, Lubo? I hear what you're saying, but available and wants the job and knows the Premier League. Is that the criteria? Is that enough to get us out of trouble?
Yeah. Well, are you talking about permanent or interim?
Interim.
Another interim.
So you take Big Sam. Would you take Big Sam then? He meets the criteria.
He'd love Big Sam. Oi, bag chuck.
Here's the brown paper bag, right?
Big Sam, listen, you've got Hoddle, Houghton, Sherwood, Redknapp, Defoe,
Frank Lampard.
What screen earth makes you think that Jermaine Defoe? Yeah,
Frank Lampard.
absolutely fantastic. What has he done?
Sean, as part of a team.
What has Sherwood done? Why is everyone
he's
talking about Tim bloody Sherwood? What has Tim Sherwood done in the last 12 years? What on God's green earth gives you any thought that he's going to keep us up?
Okay.
He's an absolute donut.
We have had
a donut of a human being.
We have had managers in this club that have lost 50% of the games that we've played in the last 3 years. And these are regular managers.
That'll do. I don't mind
do.
if he wins 50% of the games we got left, we're staying up.
Are we? Not if we draw the other. Not if we draw the other 3, Sean. We draw 3 and lose 4, we're done.
No, I said if we wins 50. Sorry, you said lose.
I said lose. We've lost.
Sorry.
50%. We've lost 50%. So for me, we've had the regular managers. They shouldn't have been anywhere near our club. We've now got an interim manager who's got 1 point out of 15. So what do? Do we keep waiting? This is the perfect time. You've got a 3-week break. You've got 7 games. You've got probably our most influential player coming back. Our most influential player from the first part of the season. Hopefully, Kudus coming back after the break. I know he can't just walk straight in and get match fit in 90 minutes. I understand that. He'll probably come on. Hopefully, he can make a difference doing 20, 30 minutes at Sunderland's, and then the following game he'll play a bit more, etc. But we had a squad of 20. We had a squad of 20 full-blown professionals for the Forest game. Kudus is coming back. That's 21. Surely
we've lost Matisse Tell.
Matisse Tell's gone.
Well, he's got a thigh injury.
Doesn't do anything anyway.
He's the best left winger. No one's ever backed.
He's pulled out. He's pulled out. The trouble is, if you get Harry, right? I think Harry is that old, right? He'll accept the job, and then he'll be interviewed and say, "Well, if Tottenham talk to me, I'm willing to take the job." Harry, you've already got the job, mate. Right? He's in his 80s now. I worry that
he's 79, Johnny. He said that, but we'll be having press conferences on here, won't we? Mr. Butler.
Do you reckon Harry? He's been working on his accent as well. Pretty soon, I think we'll all have AI. We'll be doing the impressions. Be absolutely fantastic. Absolutely,
mate. He won't turn up to the first interview at the training ground because he'll drive to Chigwell. He'll think he was still at the old training ground.
I've had an absolute bloody nightmare. I have the traffic around Chigwell was a bloody disaster. But I'm here now. Listen, I know I missed training, but don't worry. Absolutely fantastic to see everybody. Absolutely terrific.
So there we go. We just need Harry. There'll be a Spurs 5 exclusive for every press conference, won't there?
Exactly. Stell, let me just bring you in before I come to Roy. With regard to Igor Tudor, is the reason why quite simply, I guess the question was, is the reason why Igor Tudor is still here? Is it because they haven't found a replacement? Are they not sure whether to sack him? Does it look insensitive if they do? Or should it be present itself as the opportunity to actually do what is probably an uncomfortable thing where the club can save face in some way, to some degree, by not having to admit that their plan failed, but that, the reason why we're letting you go is because, or the reason why we parted ways is not because of performance, it's because of private life, personal issues.
Well, first of all, Sean, if we were a serious football club, when Frank was sacked and Vinay and Lange were overruled, they would have sacked Vinay and Lange on the same day, seeing as there's no point in them being here, and they would have appointed an interim chairman and an interim football director to decide the next manager. Instead, we've got Tudor, who's been a disaster. Now, I think it's gone so deep, and we didn't sack Tudor back then when I was one of the people championing. He's got to go. I think it's gone so deep now, and the media is having a field day with it, that it's such a toxic, volatile situation that you'd be a bloody idiot to take this job. You'd be a complete moron to come and take this job now. The only manager that will take this job is either someone who's really fucking desperate or somebody who's going to get paid ridiculous money for doing 6 weeks' work. The club ain't going to pay the money, so that guy's not coming. Which means I honestly think now, and you know me, I don't believe the journalists. I've always talked about journalists. I don't believe any of this Adi Hatta, Deserve. I don't believe any of it. I truly think it's going to be Tudor, they're going to stick with him, or they're going to be swayed to lean on something like a Ryan Mason. But they're petrified of doing that because we've been there before and it didn't work. So I don't think they can get anyone that's going to come in that can save us now. I think it's gone too far. I think no matter who you bring in now, the fate of the club is in the hands of West Ham. Because if West Ham win that game against Wolves and they go above us before we play Sunderland, we're gone. We're absolutely gone. The only hope we've got is what West Ham do now. In my honest view, and I mean that, I don't think a manager can come in and save this now because they're not going to get the manager to come in that can save it. No manager is that stupid that is good enough to do the job to come in now. Why would you do it? Like a couple of weeks ago, you lot joked. Still, you've done your badges, you do it. Mate, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't fucking touch it.
You wouldn't do it for 6 weeks still? You seriously, honestly,
No.
really?
No, I don't think you can save it. I don't think you can save it.
On the Spurs Five, Stelios, here's an SOS.
Save it.
Stelios would be. I'm not sure if Stelios is the put the.
Well, actually, no. I'll take it.
He's not the Harry Redknapp. Stelios is more of the Igor Tudor type. Listen, you'll do my way.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I'm actually a bit of a Deserby, actually. That kind of a manager.
Yeah.
I think so.
Square up to Romero on the sideline. Yeah.
Get Martin Lipson. Get Martin Lipson on the phone.
Oh, we play good football, though. We play good football. Listen, I would take it. I'd make sure that we go down. I'd be like, Relegation, boys, I'm here. No, but honestly, on a serious note, jokes aside, I don't think a manager of the quality would take this job now. I think it's gone too far.
Do you need a quality manager, mate? There's no time to implement any tactics anyway. All you can do is get a team spirit together.
Sure. When I say quality, I mean the quality to keep us up, whether it's just pure psychological or just a couple of tactical tweaks. I don't think we can attract that guy now. It's gone too far. And every single day I go online, there's another video about Tottenham. And I think this is all built up, this really volatile situation. And outside managers that can save us probably look at it and think, I'm not touching it. So either we stay with Tudor, which is why I've got a bad feeling the club are going to do that, or they get rid of him and they're going to bring in like a Ryan Mason. And that is one hell of a throw of the dice. That's a massive punt. So
I actually think I'd rather stick with Igor Tudor than Ryan Mason. Roy, let me bring you in, my man. Yeah, same sort of question. I guess we've gone around the house here a little bit. Like, what would you like to see done? Why don't you think the club have acted yet? And save a little bit. Don't go into the answer just yet, because in the next bit I want to ask specifics around some of the managers like Pochettino, because there's rumours out regarding maybe a chance for Tottenham to come get him already early. Anyway, yeah, what's your sort of take on Igor Tudor's situation and how we should navigate the grief that he's going through?
Well, firstly, Mason exclusive. I'm good friends with his dad, Glenn. He's not coming back. So I know he gets a lot of stick, Ryan, but he's not coming back.
Igor is.
Tudor, we appointed him on Valentine's Day, but this has been no story of romance. I'm hoping with material like that, I might get an invitation back on in the future. That's the sort of things that I'm capable of.
Yeah, nice.
Valentine's Day massacre it's been, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think, as Stelio said, if we're a serious club, you have to detach the two. You offer him any support, of course. He's the interim manager in charge at the moment. But his record speaks for itself. The football that us supporters have seen firsthand in his 7 games in the league have been 5 games, 7 games in total have been nowhere near the standard of what they should have been. We didn't see an initial bounce. I know that might be harsh to say. His first game was the North London derby. I personally thought we'd lose, but I expected it to be a bit closer. I expected a major reaction against Fulham. We saw nothing. I think if you're going to be a club that realises the position that you're in, you've got to say, this is the time now. And it is almost a perfect excuse, isn't it? As awful as it is for him and his family, you can, or you should be able to detach feelings for that, for the better of the club. For the better of the club, you have to say, regretfully, we've however the club want to word it, and we're seeking somebody else to come in, whoever that is. I've got no. I think I'm almost in the same school of camp as thinking as Stelios. I think there's so little time now. If you're going to do it, it's going to be this week, isn't it? The players aren't back until Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So if you put someone today, you could do that, but they're not.
It's the worst. So you saying it's the worst Tudor football since Anne Boleyn had her head chopped off? It's probably that far back. I don't remember.
You're not getting an invite back either if you come out but the pair you come out with that cringy nonsense. What are we doing here? There's no invites back. I'm the only guy who brings out the crude stuff, okay? That's my game.
Right, listen.
Johnny,
Honestly,
Johnny, can I ask you a question?
It's shocking.
Johnny,
Johnny,
I want to ask you a question, right? If West Ham do beat Wolves, okay, that's a big if because Wolves are looking all right at the moment.
Rob Edwards is doing a great job. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Let's say if West Ham does beat Wolves, right, and they've got a lot of motivation to win that now because they know they will go above us. If we go into the Sunderland game, which is a tough team to go away to at the moment, if we go to Sunderland away in 18th place, have you got any confidence, regardless of manager, that these players won't feel really sorry for themselves and completely, courageless to actually go into that game and give it everything they've got?
I agree with you. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see
that's going to be the nail in the coffin for them mentally.
I don't see fight. I don't see passion. I don't see anything. And these footballers who come here and think it's not going to hurt my CV, I'm off anyway. We hear stories. They care. No, if you care, there's something called pride, right? I do something, whatever I do, whether it's the stream or it's my business or whatever, I have a self-pride that I want to be the best version of myself. So I want to do the best I can. And if I look at myself, I say, well, you know what? I didn't do a very good job. I need to improve. I need to do better. Now, I don't need motivation to look at within myself and say, well, I didn't do well enough. That the stream I did last week was crap. I didn't perform well. These guys are getting paid vast sums of money. And I don't see anyone who's looking within themselves. I know Xavi Simons been played out of position, but his body language at times, the throwing the arms up. I saw Cole Palmer playing for Chelsea the other day when they got humped by Everton. His body language was a disgrace, constantly barracking all the rest of the team. And I'm thinking, mate, they ain't passing to you for a reason. There's something not right there. And I see a lot of that at Spurs. There's far too much of that. We saw the incident, with Cuti Romero. He takes the ball up on the right-hand side, tries to beat two players, gets fouled. He's on the floor, flowing his arms up. He took an age. Not only did he take an age to get up, but I'm shouting at him when I turn the camera off, fucking stop jogging, mate. Walking and jogging, get back into your position. You are the captain. You lead by example. And
you didn't turn the camera off. That camera's running.
No, I turned that camera off, mate. I should have carried on. Because I only got him till halfway up the pitch. The second part was even worse. My point here is, Stel, that I actually don't think that they've got it within themselves. Unless someone comes in and delivers a Martin Luther "I have a dream" speech, right?
Yeah, you know what the problem is, Johnny, is that the one name that I keep
don't even go there. Please don't get
banded around. I've got to ask. I've got to ask the question. I've got to ask the question to everybody.
Yeah, season 3, mate.
Adi Hutter to me is like he's to Lubo's manifesto there. Like no Premier League experience. Did okay in his managerial career. Did okay, but he's not really setting the world alight anywhere. Plays an interesting style of football, but like again, no time, no. I thought some of the Igor Tudor issues bear themselves out when I see them playing against Sunderland. Against Forest. And the only tactic that we employed in that first half when we had the ball was to cross the ball and fight for corner kicks, lump them into the box, crosses from the T-tail, all very good, all sort of like half chances, quarter chances, whatever. But if that's your main weapon to use against a team who have arguably the best centre-back pairing for aerial challenges defensively in the Premier League, arguably, maybe it's debatable, but they're certainly up there, then it feels like you might be taking a knife fight to a gunfight. You might be taking a knife to a gunfight because, like, you're using your weapon, but you're walking into that they're better at that than we are. So,
well,
I just feel like that sort of thing is a demonstration of maybe where Igor Tudor was a mistake, because I would imagine that someone who had Premier League experience and knows the Premier League inside and out would know that the one thing you probably don't want to do against Nottingham Forest, if you're trying to score goals, is go up against Murillo and Milenkovic. I think it's just stupid. So Adi Hutter to me is another. I don't know much about the guy, but from what he might know the Premier League like the back of his hand, but he certainly hasn't managed in it. And so,
well, you know,
like
Sean,
yeah,
you asked about weapons. You asked about weapons. Adolf has the best weapon, doesn't he? Yes, you will win, or you will be shot. Right? That's the best weapon he can have. You've got 7 games to turn it around.
Sean, are you referring to Ange? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm sorry, I got off the topic.
Yeah.
My point being, because Johnny's saying you need someone to come in that has a ability to put together the mother of all pre-match speeches, or the mother of all kind of let's have it guys speeches. It's either Harry Redknapp. I wouldn't bring Ange back either. No. But people everywhere are asking.
No, let me tell you why though. Let me tell you why.
Season 3.
Because in the summer I made a big, statement. We've got to keep him now, right? And I do advocate Ange. I would back him, but I wouldn't bring him now for one reason and one reason only. His go-to weapon we sold to Crystal Palace. If Johnson was here, I'd say it's worth a punt. But with Johnson
also,
not
he
here,
threw the club under the bus unceremoniously with Gary Neville and all that stuff. I don't think the club would dare to bring him back. Would they?
Nothing to do with me.
But what I'm saying is, if I'm all for Ange coming back, who knows the players, who would warm to him, who would give your Martin Luther King speech. But the problem is, Brennan Johnson was such an integral part of the way Ange played, and if it wasn't Ange, it was Sonny, who we've got rid of as well. So I don't think Ange is not the right answer. Not now, not for this situation. No.
I'm trying to find that. Have you seen that meme of that grey-haired American sports coach, and who walks in? He's dancing as he's walking into the changing room, and that's not the coach. That's not the coach. That's the owner of the club. The owner. That's right. The American sports team. Can you imagine that? Someone put Ange's face on that as he's walking in. Hey mate, it's me. We're back. It would be absolutely disastrous to bring him back. Roy, let me ask you: any interest in Ange possibly coming back for a second run at the game? Ridiculous, isn't it? Ridiculous.
He wouldn't come.
No.
Season 3, mate.
Hang on. I'll ask Roy. Go on, Roy.
No. Thanks so much for that night. That night in Bilbao. But the rest of the season, last season, and the second half of the season before, no, I wouldn't want him anywhere near the club again.
No. Okay, Lubo.
Well, not for me. You know how I feel about Ange. But the Lewis family would not go down on.
No chance.
Not a chance. They would come back. Eat humble pie and ask him back. Never in a million years.
So who then? If you're looking for someone, because I generally think that, like, with 7 games to go, there's no time to really implement a strategy, right? You get it back to basics, and it will require someone who can motivate and invoke some sort of like Churchill spirit type of thing.
Well,
right? If it's not Ange, thank God, then who would it be? Would it be? It's Harry, right? I think Harry's the only guy that can possibly do it, isn't he?
Sadiq Khan.
Yeah. For motivation, it's got to be Redknapp. I would also listen. You've got any number of ex-Spurs players who have managed previously, like Sherwood, like Hoddle, like Houghton, who have all expressed interest. I'll bring 2 or 3 of them in.
2 or 3 of them.
Shooting for me. Chris Shooting for me.
Chris Hughton.
Chris
Don't forget,
Hughton.
guys, Igor
With
Tudor.
Harry, Johnny, with Harry.
Chris Shooting with a couple of other assistants. I think Chris Shooting, has been offered the Zimbabwe job. He's more in football. Right. Listen. No, I'm just saying he's actually involved.
He's been offered the
still in
Zimbabwe job.
He's not 12 years out of the game. He's not 12 years out of the game.
Oh my God.
Right. What I'm saying is,
I bet Chris Hughton
look,
would-
I'm just
would
stating
regard the-
where he's at.
with
Look, we
Ghana.
need someone to come in who knows the club, right? Who's got experience in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a toss-up between Zimbabwe and Spurs. I'm just saying, I would take someone like Chris Hughton with his experience, having played for the club for the number of years he did, being assistant to Martin Joel, being manager of Brighton, and some of the roles that he's had. He has the experience. He has the passion for the club. And if he can bring in a couple of players, whether it's a Jermaine Defoe or a couple of others with him, I would rather throw my weight behind that sort of deal if possible.
Johnny, you could have Ledley working with the defenders, you could have Sherwood with the midfield, and you could have Defoe working with the strikers.
Whatever.
God.
Bring Hughton in as manager and Harry.
What are we doing here?
And Harry in as motivator.
Who would you have, Sean?
There's your team.
Listen, I honestly, I don't honestly know, right? I honestly don't know. I'm kind of as much as it sounds so defeatist. I kind of think it's done anyway.
Task. Yeah.
I think it's a real long task, and I don't think it's gonna work. If I had to throw the dice at someone, I would. If it's an interim, Harry, I think just for shits and giggles, it's a Hail Mary of all Hail Marys, but
shits and giggles. Did you say?
I don't know if it will work. And then I don't think there's any chance of getting in someone on a permanent deal in right now, unless you're really gonna, sort of cut your nose to spite your face a little bit. And even like someone like a De Zerbi, to me, he's going to want to play his way of football, and his way of football is going to need a different sort of set of squad, a different type of squad. I was saying this earlier on my show with Connor. Like the sort of manager that I want, if in a world where we stay up, right? If we go down, whatever, go through the reset, whatever, I don't care about that. But if we, in a world where we stay up, the sort of manager that I want, I don't think this squad is set up for the sort of manager I want. But I don't want a manager that will be set up to work with the squad that we have. So I find it really problematic, not just in the short term to stay up, but like a De Zerbi, a Poch, anyone that's like a bit of an attractive kind of possession-based style. You look at the midfield and there's not a single one that can keep hold of the ball. There's not a single one that can pass. You look at the lack of balance in the squad. You look at the amount of injury-prone players and the sorts of styles of football and the sorts of patterns that people like De Zerbi play. Like if you bring that guy in and ask him to work with that squad, it's not going to work. But you can't change the squad until you have the manager. But you bring the manager in and make them promises around the changing of the squad, and then you know what's going to happen. There's going to be the kind of the traditional merry-go-round of like, oh, well, we tried because it was difficult because of the World Cup and stuff. I don't want a manager that can work with this squad and do well with it, because that manager won't be for me. It'll be boring as hell. But I think bringing in a manager and then promising that you'll change the squad for them, you won't do all of it in one window. And then you're going to have exactly the same problem next season with a half-baked transfer window. So I think like even if we stay up, the problems are only just beginning at Tottenham.
The other
So we might as well just go down and hit the reset, right? Just clear it out. Start again.
The other alternative, if you're not going to bring Redknapp back, and we're just talking 7 games because he's not my ideal manager by a long shot, but he got the England team together and playing well and got a great spirit within England after the Iceland debacle, is Gareth Southgate. And for 7 games, if he could do that, still, I'm just saying, if they're not going to go for Harry came out with the interview that
at club level, he was.
Levy would have had him back.
Club level.
Got relegated with Middlesbrough, mate.
He was
Well,
terrible.
I've got to tell you something. The managers we've had haven't done that great in the last 2 or 3 years. So, what are we?
Might as well bring in Neil Warnock if we're going to do that.
Well, there's an exceptionally low bar at the moment, isn't there? And this is where we're at.
Yeah.
This is where we're at.
Who would be your choice, Roy?
Well, at this point, Harry and Tim Sherwood. I know it's not popular. Could you imagine, guys? Could you imagine Harry Romero and Richarlison rolling up to Enfield training, and Harry
late.
I mean, I don't know how many of them are going to know him. But bearing in mind, he not managed for 10 years. So Xavi Simons was what, 14 at the time?
Yeah, he's never heard of him. Archie Gray's never heard of him. Pape Sarr's probably never heard of him.
He'd have them laughing though, wouldn't he?
Lucas Birdwell's never heard of him.
Listen, he's dealt with Paolo Di Canio. He can deal with Cuti Romero, probably.
Absolutely.
I'd love Harry to come in. I mean, I've worked backstage with Harry at the evenings with. I get invited to a lot of them, and he's fantastic. I sounded like you then, Sean. Sorry.
Absolutely fantastic, Roy. Absolutely
marvelous.
He really is. And in terms of motivation, there aren't many out there. You look at managers that have recently managed, and you're looking at Sean Dyche. I mean, guys, I never thought we'd be in this position. I'm sure as you didn't. You know, but these are desperate measures. And one thing I do know is that based on what we've seen in the 7 games so far under Tudor, and with what he's going through now, especially, if he remained for the rest of the season, I think we're down.
Yep.
And as Sean says, who do you get in? You're not going to get anyone coming in on a permanent deal, so it's going to be another interim. I mean, are we the only club that's going to formally dismiss the interim, who's meant to have provided a bounce back after a dismissal? I don't know, but for me, you bring in Harry.
Can I ask you, has a club in Premier League history ever sacked a manager with 7 games to go to save the season and it's worked?
So Stellini was sacked.
Stellini went and Mason came in, didn't he?
Yeah, but we weren't in relegation. We weren't in a relegation situation.
No, but that's the precedent.
So my question is specifically around relegation. Has the club been in a relegation battle with 7 games to go and made a change with those few number of games left?
No, because the last manager who was the manager for 98? That was the last relegation fight we were in.
No, Lubo, I'm talking about any club. Has any club in the Premier League made a change with 7 games to go to save the season?
I'll ask Grok.
Or is this uncharted waters? I'm asking because I'm interested to find out if Tottenham are in a situation no club has ever been in before, where they're looking at changing a manager to not get relegated with 7 games to go. Because then there might not be a manager out there that exists to do what we want. No,
Forest did it earlier this season, but that was much earlier, wasn't it? First with Ange, then with Dyche.
Forest did it, West Ham.
I mean, they've had 4 managers this season.
Marinakis has beat us 6-0 in aggregate. That's unbelievable.
Oh, no.
Here you go. In March 2026, Crawley Town sacked manager Scott Lindsay with just 7 games to go. Very late sackings. In the Premier League, managers have been sacked with 4 games left on at least 7 occasions. But
were they in relegation? With relegation?
They're relegation, or were they relegated?
Who were the Premier League? Grok is getting really fucking lazy. I ask a question, doesn't even bother giving me the actual answers.
No,
I think we are in uncharted waters as a Premier League club, let alone Tottenham.
As a historian, Roy, you've been rewriting the record books. You thought last year couldn't get any worse, and it's just continued. Just when you thought, Ange has broken all the records, he didn't.
He did. No, when Ange came in, it was actually from the March. I think it might have been today, actually. 2023 was on a run. Was it from March 2022? I think we beat Forest 3-1 on this day, actually, 2022. But from that game, which carried on into Ange, we scored in the most successive league matches.
39, wasn't it?
Yeah. As it stands, we haven't beaten anyone in the league since the 27th of December, which was Brentford. Crystal
Palace.
We play on the 12th of April. Now, in the Premier League era, the longest we've gone from New Year's Day before, the longest until a win was
15 weeks, Roy. It's 15 weeks.
Yeah.
Between Palace and Sunderland. If we beat Sunderland, it'll be 15 weeks.
He's taking away your glory, isn't he, Roy? He come with the numbers. He's come with the numbers. Poor guy's come in, Mr. Historian, and Lubo the book.
Ian is very, very, very much into history. well.
Yeah,
But
he is.
the longest we've ever gone into in a Premier League season is March, and that was the 93-94 debacle under Ozzy, who we all love. So as we stand now, we're going into Sunderland. If we win that on the 12th of April, that will be the longest run from the new year without a league win, and that will be not just in the Premier League. That will be since the 34-35 season.
I think it's 1912, Roy. Might be 1912.
Well, it's 91 years. I saw it was 91 years, I think, before the driving license or the year of the driving license was introduced.
Yeah, 1930.
There you go. I've got the answer, by the way. In 2014-15 season, Sunderland sacked Gus Poyet with 9 games to play, and Dick Advocat kept them up. And in 2006-2007, West Ham United sacked Alan Pardew with 9 games to play, and Alan Kirbishley kept them up.
So but we'll be breaking the records. Correct.
Uncharted in terms of 7. Yeah, 7 games hasn't been done yet.
So therefore, we're looking for a manager to come and do something that's never been done before in the
unicorn.
Premier League.
We're looking for the unicorn.
And this is why I go back to what I said earlier. I think it's now gone too far, and we are in the hands of West Ham. I think if West Ham win that game, we're out. If West Ham don't win that game, we're game on again, because then there's a bit of a psychological swing back into our favour.
I did the predictions. I went through like the predictions for every game of the league. I didn't look at anything. I just did scores for every game between now and the end of the season, winners, losers, drawers. And we stayed up literally on goal difference above West Ham. I didn't know what it was going to come out of. You're talking about 8 games. But we literally survived by goal difference.
This isn't Football Manager, Johnny boy.
No, I know. No, I know.
I'm
just saying anything's possible. You know?
Yeah. Johnny, do you know what it is, though? Do you know what it is? Do you remember early on in the season when we were mid-table and some of us, half the fans were saying, Frank's no good, and other fans are saying, give it a chance, you lot, just whatever. And
I was giving it a chance. I was one of them.
Yeah, you know, the fans were divided. The fans were divided. But the argument was this. We're 6 points off the drop or the relegation zone. And the counter was, but we're only 5 points of Champions League. Where's your balance? And it was, but look how close we are to this. But look at and for me,
and we technically still could qualify for the Conference League.
Right, there you go. So that would be a joy.
I dreamed a dream.
And I remember saying, guys, I get it, but look at the way we're playing. Look at how negative this football is. It's not sustainable. Oh, but we're only 4 points. Now we're in the drop. What you're beginning to hear is the same kind of conversation, but we're still not in the bottom 3, but we're still not in the drop. Look at the fucking way we are playing.
Yeah,
it is abysmal. It is just so worrying that we, you know, the problem we've got, guys, it's not the manager. What the pressure has got to us, and we're so consumed in this pressure that anytime a little bit of pressure is added, like West Ham going above us or Spurs going 1-0 down, guys, we're gone. The game is just gone. We don't know what to do, and that's why I say I think we're going down if West Ham beat Wolves. It's because of that. That's why.
I don't disagree, mate. I don't disagree. Listen, guys, we've got 15 minutes left, or 20, just over 15 minutes, and I've got a couple more topics, and also I've got a bunch of questions from Roy, from the people that put in the questions earlier. Appreciate you, Stel, for starring them. So we'll finish off with them at the end there, Roy. THST related stuff. But one of the final topics I just wanted to ask, guys, we've seen today the goalkeeping Vicario situation. One of his mates, or his, I don't know who was it, his agent?
No, the goalkeeping coach. No,
goalkeeping coach. That's it. The goalkeeping coach coming out and saying, essentially, that Vicario has been playing injured for months and months and months. Obviously, playing injured as a goalkeeper is not quite the same as playing injured unless you've got a dodgy hand or a dodgy wrist. But obviously, a groin thing is not great. It may explain some of his kicking issues. It certainly would answer why it is that the other defenders take the goal kicks and things at times. But it does beg the question, if we knew that we had an injured player in Vicario, it once again, does it not, Lubo, bring back the question marks around why it was that the January window we didn't do anything again, and now he's going to have his surgery. And you know, it's Tottenham. You know, a player never comes back when they're supposed to. He won't be back before. He'll miss 2 or 3 games. And what do we do? Brandon Austin or bloody or Kinski? It's a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's Spurs, isn't it? There's no organisation. There's no planning. You know, last year Vicario broke his leg or his ankle at Man City, didn't he, on November the 23rd?
Yeah.
You know, and we had to do with substitute keepers. I think, you know, Forster came in. Then we had Austin in for the Newcastle and Tamworth games. Kinski was in for a few games as well. That didn't work out that great. So, but as soon as he was injured, get him sorted. Get him, you know, it has to be done. There's no point him playing on and aggravating the injury and getting worse. If he can't give 100%, then that's going to impact on the team in some way, potentially, in every game. So it's, again, you've got to look at the medical team. You've got to ask questions. Why? It's the same as Solanke. Solanke got injured at the back end of July, and they only decided a month later, you know, with the last 3 or 4 days of the window to go, you know, they chucked him out against Man City. I think it was a sub for about 17, 18 minutes. That didn't work. And he got operated on a week or 10 days later. And he was out for 3 months. You know, so you've got to look at it and you just got to say, well, if a player's injured, this club for years, this is not the first time this has happened where a player, they've just kept going and going and going and like pain-killing injections. And in the end, he's ended up having an operation. And it's ridiculous. You know, you've got to give players the right treatment, and you've got to think of the players' welfare first as well. You know, it correlates. You know, get the player fit. We've got a squad. The players in the squad, the reserve keepers should be good enough to step up. You know, and if they're not, then again, that's the recruitment's fault. But for me, Brandon Austin played twice. I played against Newcastle with his debut. Took him long enough to get there, but he had a really good debut. They left him out for the Liverpool game the following Wednesday, where Kinski actually had a good game. He came back for Tamworth, and basically he stopped a massive giant killing with that save in the 96th minute.
Yeah.
And he hasn't played since, and it's ridiculous for me. Bringing in buying Kinski last Christmas. Last January transfer window was a complete waste of time and a waste of money. We had Austin. Pat Jennings also rates Gunter very, very highly.
Yeah, Gunter's top.
You know, and you know, that's the highest reference if it's coming from Pat Jennings. So for me,
sure.
Time again, they're just clueless. Do you know what? It's a stumbling circus, isn't it? It just gets worse and worse and worse.
Let me just quickly ask Roy, the fact that they said they've timed his surgery to have as little disruption on our season as possible. If he's been playing injured for months, look, there's one argument to say, okay, it's got to the point where they need to do it. But is there another argument here where Vicario could have played until the end of the season but didn't want to miss the World Cup? And consequently, has he prioritised Italy over Tottenham when we need him the most?
Yeah, certainly plausible. I mean, 100%. You could, if you wanted to, you could go down that rabbit hole, couldn't you, Sean? I don't think it's unreasonable. I think it's negligent if he's knowingly been playing on through this injury, and it would certainly explain aspects of his game that we criticise him on. I'm very critical of him. Shot stopping, you know, if you shoot at him or reasonably close to him from 10 yards out, he's getting it, isn't he? 7 or 8, 9 times out of 10. But in terms of long shots from outside the box and crosses that go, you know, over his head or whatever, he's just borderline useless for me.
Penalties, Roy, penalties.
Sorry?
Penalties.
Yeah.
Never guessed the right way yet.
No. But again, if he's been carrying an injury, then we have to be sympathetic a little bit more. But I think, as Ian says, somebody, a number 2 should have been brought in. Brandon Austin is just picking up a wage, and I like Brandon Austin. I think he should have got the nod ahead of Kinski. When Kinski had 16 nightmare minutes, if we were going to drop Vicario, I think it should have been Brandon Austin coming in. But the situation where we are now is we've got 3 goalkeepers at the club, and none of them are particularly,
none of Premier League confidence like the level, are they?
No, and when you're in the stands, I can't speak much for Austin. We've not seen much of him, and as Ian says, he kept a clean sheet admirably in that FA Cup match, which was horrendous, wasn't it? We needed extra time to beat Tamworth. But yeah, we've got 2 goalkeepers, the number 1 and the number 13, as old school, and neither of them install any confidence in us as supporters. It's
And that also answers the question, because this year Vicario's been beaten by so many shots from outside the area that he wasn't getting beaten the previous 2 years. That might answer the question as well. The injury.
Yeah, Johnny, what's your take on the Vicario situation?
Well, when you look at the Slobozai free kick in Liverpool, for example, if you've got a groin problem, as soon as you push down on the ground to get across the pitch, you're feeling that pain, that pressure in the groin. So that's going to affect going across. It's nonsensical to me. I'm sorry. You have 3 goalkeepers. Look, they knew in January. They did absolutely nothing about it. I said, they threw the dice. They sold Brennan Johnson as a right winger and didn't replace Brennan Johnson as a right winger. They didn't replace Shin-Min Son. They brought in Gallagher. They knew that Vicario wasn't right. Bring in a goalkeeper, a quality goalkeeper on loan, right, to cover, right? I don't care. Bring a quality goalkeeper that's better than Kinski and better than Austin. I'm with both Roy and Lubo on the point that I would bring Austin in. He knows the club. He's been there, and he's been around it. He knows how important it is, and he hasn't let us down. That's the important thing. I think it's an absolute farce. There's no way he's only going to miss 1 or 2 games, in my opinion. And you also run the risk, Sean, during this time where they've, been playing with our future, he could have broken down and been out for months. Then this would have been a non-conversation, and we would have been having to play Kinski or Austin.
Do you think they coincided it? Do you think they coincided it with the Champions League exit?
No,
whenever that was.
Yeah, it could have been, but this is the longest break. But I'm more in Sean's conspiracy theory camp. You've carried it all season, and now suddenly you can't carry it. It's a 3-week break, and it just so happens, I will be fit for the World Cup if I get it done now.
Yeah. He won't be playing in the World Cup. He won't be playing in the World Cup, would he?
Didn't it come out the last year or 2 that Sonny did the same? Also, Trippier in his last season, he was injured. He was injured the whole season, wasn't he? And he came out and he said afterwards,
"Yeah, we didn't know."
The bloody pitch. I'm telling you, it's the bloody pitch. That's my conspiracy. Stel, Vicario, what's the solution, mate? Do you have any faith in our
Luca Gunter? So just to finish, Luca Gunter, right? Have you seen him play? He's an absolute superb keeper, which is why we let the other keeper go, who was also a very good keeper, go to Luton. Sorry, Stel.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get him back in time for Sunderland, or do you think he'll be out for the rest of the season?
No, he won't be back in time for Sunderland.
No chance.
He'll miss 2 or 3 games. I did suggest that he shouldn't play against Nottingham Forest if he's got an injury. I didn't understand if he's injured, why is he playing that game? And he did play. That didn't work out, I guess. But is that his fault? We lost 3-0, maybe a little bit. It's not the pitch that's causing the injuries. I disagree with that, because we didn't have these injuries under Mourinho, Nuno, Conte, and Poch when we were playing on the same pitch. This is something that's happened the last 2 years. So I don't put it down to the pitch. This is something that no one in the club can understand. I think it's a combination of overplaying players and rushing players back too soon, and we just haven't had a squad to properly rotate. And I think it's just come and bitten us in the backside. But
they've definitely done something on the pitch.
It's a gypsy curse, mate. It's a gypsy curse. Like I said to you, some Arsenal fan and Chelsea fan.
The pitch was fine for 4 years, Sean. It was fine for 4 years.
It wasn't necessarily, because we've had since the new stadium come in, Tottenham have had a disproportionately higher amount of long-term injuries caused on the pitch. The only other
last 2 years, Sean.
In the last 2 years, it's accelerated to beyond all recognition. Real Madrid is one of the only other teams in European football that have got a retractable pitch that's exactly the same as Tottenham Hotspurs, or to a large degree, and they've had 7 ACLs in the 2 years since they put it in. I'm not saying it is the pitch. I'm just saying that, like, Real Madrid are investigating whether or not the pitch is responsible for some of the.
Atletico Madrid have got a retractable pitch, don't they?
No, have they? If they have, I've done a lot of. I asked Rock and ChatGPT and all this stuff to investigate, and they said the only 2 pitches in Europe that are similar in terms of how the retractable pitch works with the tray system and the mechanism is Real Madrid and Tottenham Hotspur.
I don't think it's the pitch.
It might not be, but my other point I was just going to make was: did you notice that I've been saying this for ages, right? The fact that we have this giant slope of like 3 foot, where people have to, when they're doing the throw-ins or doing the corner kicks, they have to climb a bloody mountain before they kick the ball. I don't know.
Old Trafford's like that.
At Tottenham, I'm not saying it's part of the injuries. I'm just saying for me, it's been like, why don't they lay some extra AstroTurf? Again, at the Nottingham Forest game, they had new AstroTurf laid down that smoothed out the drop-off for the corner kicks. But I don't think that, I'm sure that James Maddison, I used to see James Maddison because he only had like a 2-step run up before he took corner kicks. And like one step was, it was like he was climbing, it was on the Stairmaster 1000 down the gym. You know, so they've now finally laid down some additional AstroTurf to kind of smooth out that gradient, which I just think it's noticeable. It's only taken them bloody 6 years to do it. You know,
Sean, do you know what it is? There's some injuries that are just genuine, but the problem is there's some other ones which I think Maddison has had a horrific injury record for 5 years before he came to Spurs. We signed an injury-prone player, right? Udogie has been injured since we signed him. There's certain players like Bergvall. He always comes back too soon, in my opinion. He's a young lad. He's always he always seems to come back when we're desperate for players, right? Just bring him back. So I think there's 5 or 6 players that you could say we are to blame for. The other 5 or 6, bad luck. But when you put it together, it's 12, and we'll fucking know what's happening at Tottenham.
Yeah, but there's also situations. You look at people like Ryan Sessegnon, right? Comes to Tottenham, spends the entire 5 years on the injury table. As soon as he leaves, doesn't have another injury.
No,
Conor Gallagher never misses a single game of football in his entire career. Comes to Tottenham Hotspur. He's
within 3 weeks.
Hold on. Gallagher wasn't injured. He had like a fever or a cold, didn't he?
No, he had an injury as well.
He had a bad toe as well. He had like some sort of something wrong with his toe. But I'm not making conspiracy. I'm forget about the whole pitch being the thing. That was just a side little gambit.
All right.
I'm just saying it is weird. Yeah,
how many of them are injured though? Like, you know, look, we've had this on Football Link where, you know, Arsenal have pulled out Saliba, Gabriel, Timber out of the tournaments. We get told that Mickey van der Ven had an injury at halftime, had to go off. He's fine for Holland. Jed Spence had a knock. He's fine for England. Eki Tike went off after 8 minutes for Liverpool. He's just played 65 minutes for France, started and scored a goal. You know, there are players who, despite a knock,
they decide how injured they are. You know.
Yeah, Pierre Højbjerg.
There's nothing wrong with your scan. Yeah, but I'm still feeling something.
Do you know what? Can I? You know, look. Regardless of the injuries, the club knew we had an injury crisis in January, and they did fuck all about it.
100%.
Right? The negligence from this ownership is second to, if we get relegated, that January transfer window will go down as the most expensive disaster this club's ever.
It was a gamble. Terrible. But do you not think?
Listen, just want to say about Vicario quickly. Just about Vicario.
No, but do you not think? I was just going to say, do you not think though? This is my point I was trying to make here. There are players who will, like Hojbjerg, who used to get slated, no matter what, he could go on with half his leg missing. He'd still be on giving his all. And there are players. Don't feel it today. And I think we've got a lot of those in our squad. And we don't have warriors. I don't believe we have warriors in this squad.
No.
And that's what this team misses.
We miss Pierre and Hojbjerg.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone.
And it's
not
funny
just for his warrior spirit, but for his abilities as well, because we never replaced Hojbjerg, believe it or not. Crazy.
Hojbjerg went, Dyer went, Kane went, Lloris went, all these leaders that left the dressing room.
And Eric Dyer was rubbish. Eric Dyer was rubbish.
Yeah, no, but he was like a warrior, wasn't he? And what you've got now, you've got Spurs in a relegation fight with 7 games in 6 weeks and the World Cup just around the corner. So how many of these players are going to be thinking, oh, if I get an injury now?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
That's why Romero is going to be injured before the end of the season.
I've got to say, honestly, I don't care. If he's injured, I don't care. Play Danso in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely don't care.
What do you reckon, Roy?
Yeah, go on,
Sorry,
Roy. Yeah, go on, Roy. Final take, mate, on this particular topic, and then we'll round off with some questions for you.
Yeah, it's a horror show. I mean, Sessegnon, as you say, he was injured pretty much from day dot for us. He hasn't missed a game for Fulham, I don't think, and he always seems to turn up for them. I don't subscribe to an issue with the pitch. I know we play on it more than the opposition. You don't see too many opposition players injured on our pitch, but there's a real issue. There's a real issue at the club, whether it's with the medical team, whether it's the players themselves. I got into a conversation at work the other day. Just my opinion, I can't think of a squad that I've disliked so many players, based on what I see from them on the pitch as I do now. Even back to the 90s when it was pretty bleak. You had David Howells, you had players like that got stuck in, and as you all say, you don't see them. I don't see anyone willing to fight.
No heroes, right, Roy? No heroes on the pitch.
You had players like Pat Van den Hel, didn't you? I mean,
Terry Fenwick. Not the best of players. I mean, you can even go back in 93, 94. Stuart Nethercott. I mean, he wasn't a very good defender at all.
He wasn't very good at all. It wasn't very good. Let's leave it there.
You hit it there, Roy.
But
he gave
Roy,
heart. He had heart. He had heart.
But Roy, the thing is, okay, we do have a couple of fights. Listen, I think Paulinho is a fighter, right? He doesn't always have the best of games. I think the guy fights, okay, and he's got the odd goal in him. He's on the bench so often. It beggars belief, like what Tudor is thinking at times. And this comes back to, you don't know the Premier League. You just don't get the league. It's different. Forest can come here and beat you. Don't look at Nottingham Forest, a team that's in the bottom 4. They can't come to White Hart Lane and beat us 4-0 because that wouldn't happen in Italy. Mate, it can happen here. But Burnley can go to Anfield and get a draw for all we know. It's just, this is why if they do sack Tudor, I still think it doesn't matter. But if they do sack him, the next manager must be Premier League experience. Yeah. It has to be. Otherwise,
bring back Harry. Get him in.
All right, guys. Let me just quickly do a couple of super chats, and then we're going to round off with a couple of questions for the trust from the boys here for Roy. First of all, big up to Dino Chudini. Sorry, mate, for this. We're only a couple of hours late on getting this. I didn't see this initially, mate. Big up to you, mate. Choo to you, bro. Always here, always supporting. Sorry, I missed you on the 8 bar, buddy. I'm always in the back garden, mate. I'm out there drinking away with the boys after the show, after the game. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Big up to Ulrika, Rasatata, Ulrika Kaka, out in Australia. Get out of the bath, dry your bits. We're talking Tottenham. Big up to you, choo to you. Thank you very, very much indeed. Enjoy your G&T. George F9 P2S, who put in a £2 super sticker. Big up to you, George. I did see your comments. I didn't demod you, mate, or unmod you. I don't know what happened there. Maybe someone else did, but I certainly didn't. So big up to you, George. I remodded you, mate. Thank you again for the super chat, and choo to you. And a user 4872. Big up to you. He says, get rid of SIS supplements for something premium. Any takers on what SIS supplements refers to? That's something to do with injuries.
Could be.
Don't know.
Not sure.
Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Is that? I don't know what that is. That might be like. Are you talking about Holland and Barrett stuff? Is that what we're doing here? Are you saying that we're not having enough like testosterone,
Is that,
creatine, or whatever it is?
No, I think it's. Do you remember a couple of months ago we were talking about this performance group? This was it. Science in Sports, I think it was, performance group that came in as a third party to increase the performance of the club, and ever since they've, in fact, and ever since they came in, it was the second year of Ange they came in. The injury crisis has happened.
There we go.
I think they're called Science in Sport. And I think that's what he's talking about.
Not enough. Not enough vitamin D, obviously.
Do you guys notice there? You see the way Stell's mind just worked as he was talking out loud. He went, "Hang about, the penny just dropped. It's these bastards at SIS. It's all gone downhill since they were in. What are we doing here?" I see that look on your face.
Down another rabbit hole.
Yeah, we'll do that another time. Big up to you, user. Thank you very much for the super chat. And CHPRZ123 has gifted one Spurs Five membership. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much. Very generous. Whoever it was that got that, please do say thank you. Big up to you, mate. It's very cool of you. Chippers. That's what I'm going to call you from now on.
Chippers.
Big up to you. Big up to you.
Martin Chippers. Is that Martin Chippers?
It might be Martin Chippers, yeah. It's a gaming icon on his thing there. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very. He was also put in a super sticker as well just now as well. I think he did. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much as well. Choo to you. Very generous, buddy. Appreciate you. Roy, a couple of questions here for you. This one's from Gary Ball, who says, Roy, I'm a wheelchair user. How would I go about getting a ticket for a game?
If you drop us is it Gary? Sorry, I've got my glasses on. Gary, drop us an email, info@thstofficial.com, and we can help you with that. That's something that we do. We had a lady called Shirley working with us for many years on that side of the business. I know she's now moved on, and we've got someone else who's come in. So info@thstofficial.com, and we'll gladly help you with that.
Hope that helps, Gary.
Cheers, Gary. Appreciate you, mate. Thank you, Roy. And this one from John George says, I think this is tongue in cheek. I've just read it out loud. Question, Roy, could you tell me what was the Tottenham's average league attendance in 1977-78 season in the old Division 2? Thanks very much.
I used to go to them all.
Yeah, I can't tell you the average, but the drop-off wasn't as big as you'd think. I mean, I don't know whether Ian was there. Were you there for the 77 game, the Aston Villa game?
Yeah.
Aston Villa. Yeah, I mean, I still think that there was 35 to,
Not sure it was that.
38,000, something like that.
I think it was that much, Roy. Don't think it was that much.
The average, I'd say, was 35, 36 through the gates still. Yeah.
Interesting. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I actually thought I thought John George was taking the mickey. I thought he was just sort of going, let's test this historian. But to be fair, Roy, you smashed it out of the park with an answer there, mate. Well done. Absolutely fantastic. And the final question from Cy Dactor. I think this is for kind of anyone that wants to answer it. If we go down and the local community starts suffering economically, do you think Haringey Council will allow more concerts or NFL games? We'll need all that extra revenue to help the books. Do you guys participate in any of that sort of stuff there, Roy? Do you have any, would you help the club out or help people out that had tickets for those things that are not affiliated with Tottenham Hotspur specifically, or have nothing to do with you guys now?
No. They'll be writing to David Lammy. Give us a train station, Lammy. A proper one.
Yeah. I've got 3 questions myself. If any more questions before
that's all there was. Yeah.
I've got 3 questions. Roy, who's your favourite all-time Spurs player?
My favourite all-time that I've seen, or
that you've seen.
That I've seen. My favourite is Teddy Sheringham that I've seen. In terms of all-time, though, Steve Perryman. Just
Steve P.
Club.
What are your best 3 live Spurs experiences?
Best 3. My first game, which was a 3-0 home defeat to Sheffield Wednesday in '98, just for the fact that walking up those steps for the first time. But in terms of games, the 3-0 Conte 2022 would be up there, and possibly my first Champions League match that I went to, just to hear the music, because you see it on the telly as a kid, but to actually go into the stadium. But yeah, the 3-0 home victory over Arsenal under Conte, that would probably be my favourite.
And interesting question. One of the podcasts was put out last year, and we all put in. And this came out on videos on YouTube. Name your best Spurs 11, 1 to 11. Since you've been watching the club.
Since I've seen live.
Yeah. Since you've been following the club, who's your best Spurs 11?
So, okay. So I'm going to go 4-4-2. I'm not going to go Lloris. I'm going to go Brad Friedel. I know we got him at the end of his shelf life, but he was a fantastic goalkeeper. I'll go from left to right. Asuakoto. I mean, this is not classic stuff, is it?
Absolutely. What a player, Benny. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely.
Asuakoto, Ledley King, Jan Vertonghen, and I'm going to go Stephen Carr, right back. Again, just a basic 4-4-2. I'm going David Janela left. I'm going to go Bale right. Is that controversial? Just to shoehorn him in?
Nah, shoehorn him away, mate. Go on, get him
in. You going up? Are they up front or in midfield?
No, they're straight.
Left wing, right wing.
Left wing, right wing.
Old-fashioned 4-4-2. And in the middle, I'm going with, not just because I know him well and I love him, but David Howes. I think everyone needs a David Howes in there. I'm going to miss so many greats, aren't I? Do we go Dembele? I think you've got to go Dembele. Showing him maybe no. I'm going to go Van der Vaart here. I'm going to go Van der Vaart playing some kind of attacking role behind Teddy and Jurgen.
And can I just say, do you think Stuart Evercott will take it well that you've not even named him in your 11?
He's on the bench. Stuart Evercott's on the bench. Yeah, he's definitely on the bench.
On the bench, propping up the bench.
51 club appearances for Tottenham. Stuart Evercott did.
He's bloody marvellous.
Absolutely fantastic.
He did provide the assist for Jurgen Klinsmann in his home debut against Everton. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was. That was my first ever game. That was my first ever game. You're talking about going up the steps and see it was under the lights. I remember that night. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's on the bench with Espen Bardson and
I love Bardson.
Espen Bardson.
Love Espen
Bardson. Over Torsfed.
Espen Bardson was the greatest shot stopper. A little bit like Vicario, actually. Dog shit at everything else in goalkeeping, but one of the greatest shot stoppers. When he had that little period in the goal, there, Espen Bardson was sensational.
Sensational.
Yeah.
There you go. Spurs average attendance for the year we were in the second division. 34,209. There you go.
I remember a 38.
He said 35. He said 35,000. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Look, Luba, did you go and dig that out of a match program, or did you look it up on chat?
No, he's looked it up on chat.
Okay,
listen, I thought I could have sworn we had a 38,000 game in that season, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think we had a 48,000 for Bolton on November the 8th. I think when we beat them 1-0. I'm trying to think who scored.
Wasn't it 48,704?
Whatever it was.
According to ChatGPT.
Whatever it was. We had some in the 20s as well.
Yeah, there were some low ones.
I've got a question for Roy. So, as the historian that you are, give us a historical piece of data that we might not know. An interesting bit of stat or interesting bit of data that maybe none of us have ever heard of.
Well, how boring do you want? I've got so many boring stats.
Is it true that Arsenal killed our parrot?
The parrot dropped dead on the day that Tottenham Hotspur Arsenal were promoted to Division 1, in 1919.
They killed our fucking parrot.
He is an ex-parrot.
The club went on a tour of Uruguay and Argentina in 1913, and at the end of the 8 or 9 days home, the captain of the ship, or whatever he was, he invited the club to a fancy dress type thing, and lots of them dressed as pirates and so forth. So as we left the ship, he gave us the ship's parrot, and the club kept it at the club offices. And the story goes that on the day that football resumed after World War I and Arsenal were promoted, having finished 6th in Division 2 at the end of football before the war broke out, and we were relegated along with Chelsea. The first division was extended by 2 teams. So the thought was that Tottenham and Chelsea, who had been in the league since 1908, would resume our position in the first division, but that wasn't to be. We were relegated. Arsenal were promoted. Henry Norris was the man behind it, putting all the strings for Arsenal.
Money man, yeah.
And the day that it was announced officially is the day that apparently the parrot dropped dead. So that's apparently where the sickest.
I never realised I hated Arsenal as much as I did until I found out about the parrot. They killed our parrot.
Pushing up the daisies.
Do you know my brain is so freaking polluted. Do you know what I took from that? The year we got relegated, the parrot died. Our manager's father's just passed away. The year we got relegated, Chelsea went down. Everyone's saying Chelsea's going to be the club that relegates us. Mate, my mind just went into some really dark.
Hang on, when we went down,
I went into a really dark place. I was like, whoa.
Didn't Arsenal win the league the year we went down?
That 1935, yeah.
It's happening, isn't it?
See, mate, you see, it wasn't that polluted.
It's happening. I hate it.
It's happening.
Big up to you, Roy. Absolutely fantastic, mate. We've got one more super chat. Top
it's a great story, by the way, Roy.
It's a great story. It's a great story, Roy.
It's a great story.
I actually, you know what, Top Shelf? I was reading this as Roy was saying telling the story there. I couldn't agree more. It used to be a privilege to have a season ticket. It has become a chore. It is tragic, but we have become a bit soulless. I found this season a chore. I don't look forward to going to Tottenham as much as I used to. I used to love going to Tottenham. It was my release from life. But now it's just like it piles on the misery. You know. Big up to you, Top Shelf. Big up to you, mate. Hopefully we can find a way to stay up and go again. But I don't know. At the moment, it doesn't look good. The omens aren't in our favour. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for joining. There's been over 1,000 people here the entire show, all the way right up to the end. There's still 960, 70 people here. We'd love to see it. Please don't forget to smash the like, smash the subscribe. Roy, is there a way people can find you? Have you got a Twitter handle or anything like that you want to promote?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Twitter at History of THFC. I post almost daily on that. If you're on Facebook, I've got a great group which has got about 16,000 members. So many ex-players, ex-staff, coaches, etc. are on there. To name but 3, Graham Roberts, Richard Cook, the 80s, Ali Dick, a star from 84, the early 80s. And that's, if you go on Facebook, that's the history of Tottenham Hotspur. And you can read all about my foundation, the formation of the Tottenham Hotspur Grave Society, which is going off. Plenty of photos and information on that. So, it'd be great to see more of you over there because, as I say, people can say what they want about where we are now. Fair enough. But when it comes to the history, we really do have a history that's worth talking about. So the more the merrier. Please come and join and subscribe to the X account and the Facebook account. Thank you.
Yeah, Roy, absolutely fantastic of you, mate. And by the way, despite your cheesy little quips that Johnny tried to one up you on, you do have an invite back, my man. It was great to meet you, and we'll come back. We'll get you back on very soon.
I was just about to say, yeah, you should definitely follow Roy on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook, but some really interesting posts he always puts out, which is why I follow them and follow him, should I say, on Twitter. So,
fantastic. Any final words from you boys up the top? Any final words?
No, listen, always enjoyable. These conversations for me are always really interesting. I love the history. People know how I feel. I'm an old star. I've been following the club over 60 years, like Johnny, and it's a fantastic club with a great history. And it's just criminal what these owners have done to this club. But it's just nice to talk about the old days. because it lifts you. You know, we've been through a really depressing time over the last, well, this season pretty much, and the last 3 years, bar Bilbao, and it's just nice just to talk about better players, better times. And this is a fantastic club, and please God, one day we do get the statues that we should have, and a museum. And I just hope sooner or later we get new owners, and we get back the football club that we used to have.
Guys, I will see you in a thing. Thanks very much. I will be flying off to Japan. If I can get on, I will. Thanks for all the messages, and to the parrot. Pieces of eight.
Enjoy
can
your
we not
trip,
get?
Johnny.
Can we not get a new parrot? I mean, the truth of the matter is, they'd abuse the parrot. It'd be dead within a week because no one would look after it. He'd have an injury. We'd buy. You bought this parrot.
Johnny.
You assured me this parrot.
Johnny, we had a parrot. We sold him to AZ, didn't we, for $6 million?
Yeah, he might be coming back. We've got the buyback clause. All right, guys, I want to say massive thank you to everyone. We're not sure if we're going to have a show on Monday because unless there's, we're pending Tottenham news. If there's anything to talk about, we'll be back. But if not, we'll let everybody know via the community post. Big up to Stel, big up to Lubo, big up to Johnny, big up to Roy. Absolutely fantastic, mate. Big up to the chat. Thanks everyone for locking in, and we'll see you very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, bye-bye.
Come on, you Spurs.